Okay, no, seriously, guys. But I went back to school. So listen. Let me tell you how this all went down, right? I originally went to school back in to college back in 2015 when I graduated high school. It was like a smooth transition, right? So I was there originally for my business management degree, my bachelor's, but I was there for like 2 years. And then I stopped because I had my own place, I had my own car, and I was making my own money. So my mindset was, well, if I'm already making money, why do I need to go to school? You know what I mean? Why do I need to go to school if you go to school to make money? Right? And I feel like that mindset just stemmed from the fact that I didn't really know what the heck I wanted to do. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just going to college for the experience and the boys. All right. But yes, so I dropped out originally, and well, I can't even say dropped out because I feel like that's more like official. I just stopped going. But yeah, so I stopped going to college in 2015, and I took a, what's it now, 2023? So 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and now 23. Oh my God. Was that 9 years? Oh my God, I'm getting old. But I took a 9-year break. Oh my goodness. I took a 9-year break from school. Now, during that time, like I said, I had my own apartment. I was making my own money and sales. I was doing my own thing. But see, what in the back of my mind, I was always thinking, oh, I'll just go back. At some point, I'll just go back. But see, what also kind of made me go another direction with school was because when I first started college, my GPA wasn't the best. So I was going to a community college, and I watch a lot of movies, guys. Okay, I watched Drumline. I watched You Stomp the Yard. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted the full college experience, and I wasn't really getting that at a community college. I was like, I'm going to college, but this ain't colleging. You know what I mean? So I was like, whatever, fine, I'll go, whatever. But it really didn't sink in that I was in college. So it gave me even more incentive to just sneak up out of there, because this ain't Stomp the Yard. This ain't giving Stomp the Yard. You know what I mean? But it's all right. It's cool. It's whatever. But yeah, so I dropped out, and I spent that whole 9 years just building my life. Just, how it is. When you drop out at first, you don't really, it's like, when you go to college first, it's like, oh, I'm just going to college. But when you go to college the second time around, it's like, yeah, I'm serious. You know what I mean? Because now it's like, nah, like I had time to think about who I am. I had time to discover, and now I want to go back. And, but that in between time was something else, right? Because I was going through real life stuff. Okay, I'm 25. When I originally started college, I was like 18, 19. So everything in between time was just me trying to figure out who I am as a person. I thought that I was going to climb the corporate ladder in sales. So I didn't have any real incentive to go back because I didn't need to. It wasn't a requirement for me. And then to add insult to injury, the pandemic hit. And then I was really thinking like, wow, all these people starting startup businesses left and right without a college degree. And, I even have family members who are entrepreneurs. So I was like, why go back to school? I can start my own business. I can really do my own thing, which is still true. It's still very true. I don't have to go to college. I don't have to go to college for what it is that I want to do. I can just take some quick courses, but it's not for everybody. But I knew in the back of my head that this is something that I want to do. I want to go to college. I want to actually learn. But like I said, when the pandemic hit and everybody was forced to sit down, I started thinking more about what it is that I want to do, not just for the sake of money. Because if I want to keep going this route of climbing the corporate ladder for the sake of status and money, then I'd be fine. I don't have to go back to school, but I wouldn't be fulfilled. And that was the big problem for me. I wasn't fulfilled in doing anything that I was doing. I was just making money. And the pandemic really made me sit down and think that, well, money isn't enough anymore. I've been doing this for a while. I haven't really been seeing the results that I've wanted to see, but also I'm not happy. I wasn't happy doing customer service. I wasn't happy doing sales. I did at one point, I really loved it, but I was not fulfilled. I knew that there was something else that I wanted to do. And that's when I started writing my first self-help book called Many Are Called, Few Are Chosen. Shameless tag. It's actually going to be on Amazon. You guys should go ahead and buy that. But yeah, that's when I started writing my first self-help book. And I've actually always loved writing. I was always like a creative writer who wrote like little poems when I was a kid. And I wrote like, I was just always interested in writing like short stories, fiction, nonfiction. But my first self-help book came out of me just wanting to tell my story, and the process that I went through that led up to me like having this enlightenment period that led me to having a better understanding of who I am and why I needed to clear out a lot of the clutter of the people I had around me. So I wrote my first self-help book, and it was just about me speaking my truth. But even that kind of led me to like get a clear understanding of my processing and my way of thinking and what it is that I wanted to do, who I wanted to speak to, who my audience was. And I was just like, I really feel like I'm called to do something else, because out of the pandemic, I not just wrote my self-help book, I started recording my content. And that's when I started realizing like, wow, there are people who really respond to me. It may not be a whole thousands and thousands of people, but there are people who see me and they're like, wow, me too. It's more intimate, right? Like when you don't have as many followers, you can really get specific on the people who are not just following you, but they actually support you and they listen to your stories and they're like, wow, like you really have something to say. So I started taking all of that, everything that I went through, because I went through an abusive relationship, a psychologically abusive relationship. I went through so much, both, life happens. And all of that, I was kind of in this mode of just go, 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 go. It was like, I didn't really have time to really sit down and think, wow, so what do I want to do for school? It was just like, no, I didn't have time for that. I'm the type of person that I have to just keep going. I have to get it out the mud. Like I said, I value my independence. That's the main thing that's really important to me. So I just kept going. But when the pandemic hit, it was like, sit down, think about this, and reflect. And I was like, oh my God, I had to like open the closet on everything that I was like, just keep going, just keep going. And it was just an eye opener for me. So I had to break out of the mindset of, if I don't work, I don't eat. And I feel like that's the mindset of a lot of you guys even right now. If I don't work, I will not survive. I will not eat. I had to break out of survival mode, because that was what I was operating in. Survival mode. I have to work. I have to get a job. I have to do what it is that I have to do, even if it is unfulfilling to me, because these bills are going to keep coming. And see, that right there, that's a mentality that was embedded into me as a child. Because see, I watched my mom do that as a child too. She had to do what she had to do. She was a single mother. She had to work. She had to do what she had to do. And she started teaching us those morals. And I kind of picked that up and was like, well, this is what it takes to run a household. But we live in a new day and age. So one of the first things I had to do was break out of that mentality of survival mode and break out of the old regime way of thinking of, I got to work up the corporate ladder, retire at 65 and get a golden watch and a 401k. I had to break out of that, because it would have worked. Don't get me wrong. The old system technically works, right? I could still be climbing up the corporate ladder right now, but it's not fulfilling. It's not what I want to do. So once that epiphany happened for me, I had to go into this whole, it opened up like a can of worms, man. Like I was like, wow, I had to get I had to get a really clear understanding of what it is that that resonates with me, what it is that I would do even if I wasn't making any money from it, right? And that forced me to look way back into my childhood. I don't know if you guys can believe this, but when I was younger, I wanted to be a singer. And then after that, I wanted to be a lawyer. And then after that, like when I was younger originally, I wanted to be a singer, bro. I wanted to be an artist. And it was I used to have like a little girl group with my cousin and everything. It was a whole thing. But I started tapping back into my childhood likes and interests. So I started dancing more. I started painting. I started posting content. And it was more of a trial and error thing. It was trial and error. Like, what is it that I like for fun? You know, who am I to the core of it? And what really stuck was these motivational videos, surprisingly. Like, what really stuck with me was my voice, because it's my truth. It's my way to communicate. It's my power personally, right? And before, I didn't really see much value in this because it's like, who gonna listen to me? Who am I? Right? But even that, I had to break out of that mentality. That's all of that is connected to my survival mode and my generational trauma passed down from person to person. I had to break out of the mentality that my authenticity wouldn't be enough. I had to break out of that. I had to break out of it. And that was hard. The hardest part of this journey was unlearning myself, because there were certain habits and mindsets that I clung on to for dear life and people. And see, what you have to understand is when you're about to start something or go back to something that's really beneficial, it's gonna open up some wounds and force you to see yourself in a different light. But the first thing it's gonna do is it's gonna show you a mirror of who you are and who you aren't. And both of them is very eye-opening. I was like, man, like I need to get it together. But it's very it's eye-opening, right? So this is my way of thinking. This is what I'm breaking out of all the way through this period of going back to school. So I started having very vivid dreams too. Way before I got accepted into college, way before I even started thinking about going back to school, I started getting very vivid dreams of me being on a college campus and being on school or being at school. So I kept having these dreams and writing them down, but I was like, well, what does this mean? Like, am I in the school of life? Or is God trying to tell me he's teaching me the way of life? Like real, like Lion King Simba action? Or am I actually going to go to school? But see, these dreams started getting more vivid and more specific. Like I had a dream where I had this, I actually was standing in front of the college campus that I got accepted into. So I kept getting confirmation after confirmation of me going back to school until it was finally like, well, let me go ahead and apply. And it was a rapid pace. I just applied. I didn't know if I was actually going to get accepted. But I did. I got accepted. The financial aid went well, all of it. And my first week was actually last week. So, but that played a big role in it too. I get a lot of prophetic dreams. And I actually had one dream in particular that I consider it like a prophetic dream, because in the dream, there was a woman who came to me who said that it's not just me. There are a lot of people who are going back to school right now who are, they feel called. It's different. A lot of people are going back to school not just for the sake of doing it, but it's because they feel called and they feel led to do it, and they don't necessarily know why. But I had a prophetic dream where this woman came to me and she pretty much was saying that there are people God has set up in designated schools where there's going to be power released through that particular field, that particular area. So he has people set up in schools right now that it's going to reach certain people, because there's something that's been stolen. There's like She came to me in the dream and she kept saying something that was strange, but she said something that she was like, a baby was stolen, not a physical child, but there was a child stolen. There's a mentality that was robbed from the collective as a whole. There's a way of thinking, a sense of childlikeness, as you know, in the world as a whole, that was robbed, that will be birthed again through these people going back to school and ultimately getting set up in these positions that will, it's a position of power. So if you feel drawn to go back to school, or you're like me and you're receiving dreams about it, don't ignore that. It's an intuitive nudge for you to go back to school. And ultimately, here's what I've also learned about my dreams. Eventually, your life has a way of manifesting the dreams that you have, because that's one of God's ways of communicating with you. He doesn't give you those dreams just for the sake of talking to you. He gives you those dreams as a way of letting you know, hey, this is going to happen next. So I've also learned that when you have prophetic dreams like that, it's not for you to feel like you can stop it in any way. It's already set in motion for it to happen. So I don't know your business, but if you feel drawn to go back to school, I'm telling you, it's for a reason. It is because there's a certain level of power that is connected to you doing that one thing. It's just about obedience. So this is just me being obedient. So I went back to school and I'm meeting a lot of meaningful people. And that was also another reason why I wanted the full college experience this time around, because it's not just about school for me. It's about starting over again. I cut a lot of people off back in the past because I feel like I wasn't surrounded by the right kinds of people with the right kinds of mindsets. And I completely forgive myself, and it's no bad blood or bad animosity towards the people from the past, because I get it. That version of me attracted those kinds of people so that I can learn and become the person I am today. So I don't regret it. But I will say, now that I've learned and know better, I'm going to do better. So I have more discernment and I have more intention when it comes to meeting the kinds of people that I'm meeting now. And it's still a little bit of a culture shock, because I'm like, I've been in hermit mode, not talking to nobody for months and years. You know what I mean? So it's like going from that to now being in a classroom setting, it's still a shock. And I'm still a little shy, guys. Like, I'm kind of like, hi, I'm Safari. What's your name? You know, it's so cute. It's so cute. But yeah, so it's just an adjustment. But that's really just the process that led up to me going back to school. And I want to just, like I said, I really want to drive it home with you guys, paying attention to your intuition. If you feel drawn to go back to school, even if you think that it's not the right time, just go up to the campus, because that's what I did, right? Like I took a college tour before I even thought about it. I went up there and I scoped out the scene before I actually made the move. So if you feel drawn to go back to school, you should probably go back to school. And there's nothing wrong with starting over. I don't care what age you are. Wisdom has no age limit. Okay, you can be the oldest person in the world and be naive. And you can be the youngest person in the world and be very knowledgeable. So don't count yourself out. I think that going back to school is very brave. And I think that it's something that, you're never too old or too young to learn something new. And that's really what it was for me. I wanted to put myself back in a position of being a student again, because being outside of school, you kind of get complacent with the things that you already know. And I didn't want to get like that. And I found myself getting that way where it was like, I know everything. I just go through the same. Nah, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to go through that. I want to always be a student, and I want to surround myself with new things, new opportunities. So that was just my journey of going back to school, guys. You can let me know what your journey is, and let me know what you think about going back to school, if you're considering going back to school, and we can have a conversation, guys. Let's open up the floor. I am very, very big on creating community for everybody to come here and say me too, and just open up the floor for conversation, guys. So make sure you're subscribed over to the YouTube, and I will see you next time. Love you guys.